The thing about it was, which what a lot of people didn't really understand, is when me and Chris got together, we had such great chemistry that when we went out and we had a bad match that was bad to me and him, everybody thought it was a good match. When we had a good match, people thought it was a great match. So when we had a great match, it was, barn burner. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of chemistry that we had and stuff, and which was really good because, a lot of people don't really know, but when I first went to Japan, Chris had the opportunity to go home for 3 weeks, and he decided to stay in Japan for 2 weeks to help me out. And he had just met me and didn't really know me, but he decided to stay and help me out so I can get used to the Japanese style of technique and for the ass whooping that I had coming. So he didn't even have to do that. He could have went home, being with his wife and daughter at that given point in time, or his son and kids at that given point in time, but he decided to stay. So that really helped me out a lot because he smartened me up a lot to what I was really in for store when I went over to New Japan to train.
Now, when you went to the New Japan dojo, you did some training, and you're part of New Japan Pro Wrestling. How did you actually kind of get in? Did they scouted you? Did they see you someplace?
No, man. It's that old funny story. All because of Big Van Vader. Every place that I've been, pretty much from New Japan, Mexico, Germany, WCW, WWF was all because I was riding on Vader's coattail. That's how I got into all this. Was that I got into Vader was. I was working in Denver, I believe at, I want to say it was Mile High at the time, way back in the day, 85, 84, 85, when I got out of school, working a little local show. Vader was a big name, and he had just got together with AWA at that time, and was a champion, was down there with Brad Ringing, had just went over to Japan and run the Triple Crown. And he also had won the heavyweight belt with Autobahns over there in Germany. So when he came in, he was the main event on the show. Him and Jerry Blackwell was like, one of the main events on one of the shows. And he seen me work with one of the great hands of the business back in the day, Airborne Ranger, was one of the guys that I worked with. And like I said, we went out and tore down the house. Vader had seen the match and seen my style of wrestling, and says, "Man, you kind of got that Japanese style type of wrestling, the high flyers." I had taught myself. I didn't have nobody to train me. I had trained myself when I first broke into the business. And so when Vader had spotted me, he was like, "Man, I just came back from Japan. I can get you over there. Do you got any video footage?" And at that given point in time, I had no idea about getting video footage or having video footage of me training in some of these little local shows and stuff that I was doing. So Vader had paid a guy to show up at one of the shows that he was on and come take my match for me. And I was working with Playboy Buddy Rhodes on one of the shows one night. And then the next night I was working with a young kid, the high flyer. And because Playboy Buddy Rhodes got out of town, so they had to reschedule my match. And Vader ended up taking the match, taped it, cut it up, and made a highlight reel. Took it over to Japan and sold me to Japan. About 4 or 5 months, 6 months down the line, Vader said, "I'll let you know something when I come back from Japan." About a year went by, and then Vader finally called me up and says, "Yo, what'd you think about going to Japan and be trained by him? They'll pay you to go to Japan and train, and pay you so much and blase, blase." I was like, "Man, you tell them I would be honored if they would, accept me over Japan and train me and stuff at that given point in time." So that's how I've been able to go from, New Japan to WCW to Mexico to Germany to around the world was because of Vader. And then after that, after Vader got my foot in the door and all those places I've been, kind of took off and started doing things myself from there.
Crazy to think that the big mean Mastodon, the Beast, Vader is helping you out. I mean, it's not that obviously he's not a nice guy behind the scenes.
He was always a beast. He was always mean. I always heard all kind of shit about him. But what people don't understand, if Vader liked you, he'll give the shirt off his back to you. You know what I mean? If he liked you.
And if he didn't like you, you probably have to be pretty scared of him.
Yeah, you would hear about it, one way or the other when you got in the ring with him. Believe me, you was gonna feel it, So cause he was so used to working that big man, strong style, Japanese style, which was very much physical, way more physical than American style.
Definitely. Does that kind of take a while to get used to? Because you go from one style and then it's Japan where they expect, a little bit, obviously, the strong style, a little tougher style.
But they do
kind of expect better matches as well.
I did have that problem a few times with a few of the WWF guys, right out of even in WCW when I came right out of the dojo and went to WCW, and then I went to WWF because I've always trained and worked strong style as I got out of Japan. And I had a few guys tell me, "Yo, man, lighten up. This is not Japan." You know what I mean? So yeah.
And if you think about New Japan when you were there, I mean, Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Owen Hart, Fit Finlay, Jushin Thunder Liger, El Samurai, Kanemoto, Negro Casas. I mean, God, who's who of some of the greatest talent and the greatest high flyers ever. I mean, was it pretty unbelievable to kind of be that young in the business and thrown in there with a lot of those greats?
Right, because at that given point in time that I had went to Japan, those guys had been to Japan several times, and they was making a name for themselves. So I was like the new kid on the block, still yet, when I went over there. So to be over there with all that great talent and all that different styles, I was quite blown away, to be able to work with different talent, every single night. You never know what you was going to get when you stepped in the ring. Am I going to be working Mexican style? Am I working Japanese? Or am I working American? Because it was a little bit of everything, during that tournament, which was, quite mind blowing, but it was a great opportunity for me to be in.